There we go. All right. I make it 3 minutes past 4 p.m. UK time. So we are going to get started. Welcome, everybody, to another Friends Talk Tools event. I say this every time, but every month in the year of 2024, we've been doing one of these events to help you learn more about a tool that may or may not be specific to community building. It's something that community builders are using to help them build their communities. And we all know that in our roles, we do a lot of different tasks and we're using a lot of different tools. And sometimes we are using tools that we don't feel confident in, but we still use them anyway, or ones that we've always wanted to learn, but we just haven't had the time to sit down and be like, right, this is what I'm going to do. So that's how this whole series was born. And we're going to be doing more events. We always at October now. We've got November and December. So 2 more events for this year. But on this particular occasion, we have, I'm going to call him an expert. He may not call himself that, but I am going to call him that because I've seen him using this particular tool. It's always open, and that is Airtable. I personally am really excited about this this session today because I have used Airtable in the past and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm excited to learn. Now, I always do this. I talk about the whole event and who's going to be here, but I forget to introduce myself. So if you are new around here and you're like, who is that speaking? I'm Valentina, the host of the Friends Talk Tool series. I am an event manager, strategist, all things events, and TalkBase have brought me in to help host this series. I'm also hosting the cross collaboration series as well, with a number of experts in the industry, and I'm really excited to be here. So let's get started. I'm going to bring up our lovely speaker today, Kieza. Welcome from down the road. Tell us everything we need to know about Airtable.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me. And thanks for the intro. I'm really excited to demo this tool. I've never been asked to demo Airtable, even though I've been using it for about 9 years, 8 or 9 years now. So I really hope I do a good job of helping you all to kind of get to understand how powerful this tool is and how it can make your lives and your jobs way easier than it otherwise would be. But yeah, I guess I've got some slides. They're really quick and dirty. And I'll just kind of walk through what I'll cover and I'll tell you a little bit about myself and what my background is. And I'm gonna tell you a bit about the work that I've done with it and how I use it and how I approach it. And all the different contexts that I've used it in as well. And I'm also gonna give you a demo of processes and an Airtable base that I've built that has helped me to get work done far more quickly and efficiently. So yeah, shall I just get started?
Go for it.
All right, brilliant. Cool. Let me share my screen then. All right, I usually use Google, so there we go. Right. Great. So, can everyone see this okay, by the way?
Yep. You just need to present, I guess, and then we'll see.
Yeah. I'm gonna expand this. Is this a bit better? Hello?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah. Cool. The reason I'm not going to present it is because I'm going to show you an Airtable side by side very soon. So it will show my whole screen and you'll be able to see that in one go. So yeah, start off with a little bit about me. So I have a very, I guess I'll call it generalist background. So I've actually been a founder for pretty much my whole adult life, bar 8 weeks. And I've done various stuff in that time. So I was a Lewisham young mayor. So I had a short stint in as a career in politics when I was a teenager because there were some issues in my local borough. I'm from South London in Lewisham. There's an issue in my local borough that I wanted to address, and rather than sit and complain about it and write tweets about it, I wanted to actually affect some change in my local constituency. So I ran a campaign, and there were 25 of us. I happened to come out on top that year, and I was given the mantle of young mayor of Lewisham that year, which is where I learned a lot of marketing skills, a lot of hacky marketing skills. I spent my budget for that entire campaign was about £6.50, which that's a 2010 £5, £6.50 as well. So it's adjusted for inflation, it's probably about 500 quid now. Is that a hand up, by the way? I thought oh sorry, I thought I saw a hand up. So yeah, tried to get a job fresh out of school, got back tumbleweed. Probably didn't help that my CV had 2009 on my date of birth at the time. So I learned about entrepreneurship. That taught me the skills that I learn now. I ran a merchandise company, so I was in that merchandise business for about 13 years. And in the process of that, I bootstrapped it to just over a 250,000 in sales by the time I was in my mid-20s, which meant that I had to learn a lot of lead generation, sales, pricing, proposals, operations, service delivery, flicking between, delivering client services and getting new leads and closing them, hiring people, training them, setting up CRM systems, setting up applicant tracking systems, and everything in between. So it's really hacky. It was really sort of figuring stuff out as you go along, but then that leads kind of nicely into how I started using Airtable. It's got a huge variety of functions that it allows you to use, and to get certain processes more streamlined and more efficient. I now run a talent matching platform for founders, so I find really hacky, scrappy people who can work in that 0 to 1 stage where almost nothing makes sense, and they can figure it out. And I match them with founders and startups and small teams who just need really good talent really fast, flexibly. But we also have a community for founders. So, being a founder, running a small team, it's very lonely. You're faced with a lot of challenges and problems that it's not always obvious what the solutions to those are. And connections at, certain networking events and spaces are just very surface level. You want something deeper. You want to be around people on a similar journey to you. So myself and my co-founder Josh, who run the Generalist Company, we've now created Plug, which is a community for founders. We do house parties, we do games nights, we do co-working days, and we're actually opening a co-working space in this building that I'm in now. So a lot of what have been doing and will be doing over the next few months and years is going to be a lot of community and events management, which I'm going to be using Airtable for. So that's a little bit about me. And if there's any questions about anything I've just said, then feel free to pop them in the chat. Cool. So moving on. Life is Airtable. Okay, maybe that's hyperbolic, but literally I run a lot of stuff off of it. And I would describe it as Google Sheets on steroids. Like, you can do so much with it. You can manage databases, you can take inquiries, calculate formulas, you can collaborate. And one of the things I like best about Airtable is how you can collaborate with people. So if you're working on a project or a process, whether it's with a client, a stakeholder, or a fellow team member, you're very much able to custom build it. Like, you're very much able to make your Airtable base your own and custom build it for your purposes and your processes and the way that you do things in a way that I haven't experienced from any other tool before. Once you've created a base that meets your needs in terms of generating the outcomes that you want and creating the visibility and collaboration that you want, it's just a case of tweaking it from there. So I'll tell you a bit about my starting point. How do I go about using Airtable? This is how I think about it. The question I ask myself is, what repeatable process do I need to make quicker, more efficient, and optimized for collaboration? So think of something that you're doing in your day-to-day role that you want to make it quicker, more efficient, and you want to make it collaborative. And think about the things that you're doing that are actually difficult to strike a balance between all three of those things. Now, if you're in events, you're running communities, or whatever you're doing, if you're generally managing projects with high levels of complexity and a lot of variables, you might be tempted to say the thing that I have in my head is just not possible to do it with. And I would push back and challenge that belief. General principle is collaboration, complex processes, and accountability. You want to use Airtable in such a way that when you do collaborate with someone, you can see who's done what, when, and where, and you can see how someone's done something, and you can also standardize a complex process and optimize it for scalability as well. The idea being that this complex thing that I want to be able to do, or I have to be able to do, can I simplify it, structure it such that I could create a playbook and hand it over to someone else to do that process? And if they can do it at least 80% as well as I can, then we can optimize and increase that. But I've done a good job of documenting and simplifying a particular process. So I guess I'll dive into a demo of something I've actually done this with. And then I'll also cover some of the other bases I've created. I'm going to show you a base that I created for my merchandise company, and then I'm also going to show you bases I've created for various other, like a wide range of different contexts. Can you see my whole screen? Can you see the? I can't see what people can see.
No, we can only see your, well, I can see your slides and I can see the top tabs. So if you're switch between, then yes, we can.
I'm going to do this. Okay. Can you now see the whole screen?
Yep.
Including the Airtable base on the side?
Yep, I can see the Airtable behind, well, to the left, and then your presentation to the right.
Okay, brilliant. So please make notes. I won't have time to go back through everything in the slides, but I will give you a very detailed explanation of what's happening, and I'll do my best to make sure that the context is understandable and well delivered. And of course, as I'm going through, please pop any questions in the chat so that Valentina and I can keep an eye on them, and I can come back to your questions towards the end. So context, I run a merch company. We're serving multiple clients across multiple industries, and they had varying needs. So that was various products. That was, t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, caps, bomber jackets, backpacks, tracksuit bottoms. It was just a range of different products that could be used to create a clothing collection. Now, a lot of the clients that I was serving were what I called clothing entrepreneurs. They were businesses or clothing brands who wanted to create clothing products for the purposes of selling them, often for mid-market ranges to high prices, but also corporate companies that wanted to create promotional goods. So I did work for YouTube, Spotify, Warner Music. We did, merchandise for, not sure if you've heard of a company called Printworks. They have a massive venue in Surrey Quays in South London. There's about 6,000 people there. So we were doing their merch as well. And it was pin badges, it was custom bucket hats, it was woven labels that get sewn onto the inside of a garment to rebrand it. So I'm sure if any of you have had, promo t-shirts before, you've had like Fruited Loom on the inside neck and stuff like that, or the Gildan t-shirts, we would take those out, replace them with labels, or we'd use a wide range of different suppliers of what we call blanks, so the plain t-shirt, the companies that make the plain garments, they were called blanks, so we would source those and then we'll customize them. All different print methods, screen printing, direct to garment, embroidery, where where the artwork's stitched in. So there was a lot of variety on any given, like no two orders would ever be the same from any two different clients. So that's a lot of complexity to eat. That's a lot of bespoke quotes to give people. So if you can imagine when I'm running my paid ads and I'm getting, 5, 10, 20 leads on the top end of my funnel, I've now got all of those people to contact, qualify, and send a quote to within 24 to 48 hours. Otherwise, I could lose the job. to a competitor. So my aim was to reduce the time and complexity of generating offers and quotes, so that I can increase sales efficiency and eventually get myself out of the sales process. Because as a founder, it's easy to get caught in a bottleneck of delivering any given process in a business. Now, if I'm the only person selling, then that means if God forbid, I get hit by a bus, guess what's not happening? Sales are not happening. So this is very crucial. This is a very high consequence challenge. But obviously that process was kind of my baby. It was like, okay, I'm the only one who knows how to do this properly. I'm not confident that I can step away and give this to someone else. So every new client needs a bespoke quote based on design, quantity, deadline, delivery location. If someone needs, I had an order for 400 t-shirts to deliver in 5 days. The order came in on a Monday afternoon or Tuesday. I needed to deliver it on a Saturday because they were going on tour on the Sunday. So I'm like, okay, I'll get my TARDIS out. Needed to get them a quote. They had 3 different designs of t-shirts. They needed inside neck print, front and back print on 400 t-shirts delivered from the Midlands to London. So in that context, it would have been great if a member of the team could have done that, but I was the only one who could have done it. So I needed a simple process. Now, if you get the quotes wrong, you end up losing money, quite frankly. So if you have an oversight as to a variable that goes into, think about running events, for instance. If you order the wrong quantity of a certain product or fixture, then you can end up going upside down on your budget. It's very much the same with merchandise. And also it takes longer. So for me to send 5 quotes a day was very impractical given the amount of different things I needed to do in a given day as a founder. Actually make sure orders go out the door, making sure preparing shipping labels, counting stock, heat pressing stuff from time to time at the stage that it was at. So bespoke quotes take way too much time. And I didn't have a way to offload that responsibility onto my team. So the solution came where I thought, okay, can I standardize my sales process more? Can I generate bundles, prepackaged bundles for 25, 50, 100, 250, 500 t-shirts at a time that people could eventually go on my website and they can click and buy there rather than me giving a bespoke quote all the time? Problem with that being, if I'm going to still offer the variety that I want to continue to offer, how practical is it for me to do that whilst still maintaining the communication with inbound leads? Like for me to do those calculations on all of those different products that we have available, which is literally thousands, I'd need to be able to generate those quotes or those bundles at the click of a button rather than doing it manually, taking into consideration all of those variables that make up any given package that I'm selling. So I went to good old Airtable. I said, well, there's a repeatable process that's happening here. Can I chunk it down and then use Airtable to turn it into something that not only can I do very quickly, but my team could do very quickly? So this is the typical process for sales. You get a client to submit a form of their requirements. You discuss the details of that requirement with the client. You get the cost price of all of those variables. So the cost per product, the cost per customization, cost per label, cost per delivery, and anything else. I'd use a pricing matrix that I had developed before to generate a markup based on the quantity of each product that they wanted. And then I would write out a quote manually to the client and share the product details. So that is what the typical sales process was. And if they were happy with it, then they would pay and then we'd start. I'm going to walk you through what I did to how I used Airtable to reduce the amount of time taken to deliver that. I'm going to go from left to right. So question I'd ask, as I said earlier, how do I take this complex process and fashion it in such a way that it allows for efficiency, speed, and collaboration? I took that process and I said, well, what are the variables? When I'm giving you a quote, I need to look at what product that you want. So in the merch industry, you've got what's called blanks. You have suppliers of these products, which are called blanks. So if I was to go on this one, for instance, this one's called AS Color. They have blank garments on here that I would source and customize. Now, any given supplier would have multiple blanks. So if you can start to get a picture of the complexity and variety here, look at all these t-shirts I have to now price. All right. They all have product descriptions, they all have prices, they all have different variations as well. And that's true for every single brand that I've got listed here. So in this database, I've listed this out so that a member of my team because this isn't a client-facing Airtable, this is a team internal Airtable. A member of my team could at a glance could go and find a blank supplier. Next thing I did was finding the products that I most commonly used and then entering them into an Airtable. So I customized this space where if you notice on this table, I only had the name of the brand, the logo of the brand, the URL of the brand, and the brand type. I categorized them by the quality of products that they create. So it was either promotional, so like your sort of standard, cheap blanks, the Fruit of the Loom, really lightweight t-shirts, you wear them to sleep after you've worn them once. There was the standard, and then there was the premium stuff. This is the stuff that you're going to sell at a high price once it's rebranded. So I created categories. So if I wanted to quickly filter and see which brands, this client wants a premium product, which brands could I source from that have a premium product? I can filter them by type. So suddenly I filtered out the 18 brands out of however many were just there that were premium. And that makes my job easier in terms of deciding which products to offer to a particular client from which brand, because I know that these ones have a higher standard. If I wanted to do the same thing for promotional, like, this client, they want 500 t-shirts, they need them in a week and they don't need them to be high quality. They're erring towards the end of they're erring towards pricing as the most important variable than quality. Then I'd say, okay, which ones are promotional? This is now filtered out 9 brands that have promotional products that are cheaper because that particular client might want something cheaper. So if I was to create a playbook, this is a process that I would share with my team member. Blanks. Now, every product has its own name. So you will notice these t-shirts, they will have their own name and they will have what's called a product code. So they've got, 5020, 5001V, 5076. This might not mean anything to, the general public, but product codes are how we get around different products in the industry. So I could list out a product code. Now, you might notice here as well, there are, I've got 2 different products for the same product code. The reason being because this is a trade secret, so really keep this to yourself. But for the most part, white garments are cheaper than colored garments because there's no dye on them, which means that they can be sold to the industry through our networks for cheaper than the colored counterparts. So this is important for us because this is a variable. This is now a layer of complexity I need to account for when I'm creating my pricing. So I created fields for each variable of that product, the URL that leads to where the product is on the Blanks website, the type of garment that it is. So if I had a client that just wanted t-shirts, I could filter it by product or garment type. So let's say it's t-shirts, and I can also do the same thing by brand, by available sizes, gender, by the colors available, by the GSM, so that's the weight of the garment, and so on and so forth. I can even have size guides in there as well. Now, this is quite long to do for each product, but you've only got to do it once. And then you'll notice here, I've got the cost of each garment, of each product, and then I've created a formula in Airtable to work out how much how much it costs, including VAT, and then how much markup I want to put on that individual product. This is very important for what I'm about to show you later. Is everyone following so far, by the way? Am I still making sense? Cool. I'm assuming that I'm still making sense. So next, another variable. So I separated all the variables. So the brand that the blank comes from, the actual product itself, and the customization cost is another variable. So different print methods and print and embroidery and decoration methods have different variables that affect the price or the cost that they come out to us. So embroidery isn't just embroidery. A small embroidery on a hat does not cost the same as a big embroidery on the back of a jacket. So I had to break these down into its relative variable. So the name of the product or the service. We had screen print transfers, digital transfers, screen printing. Again, this might mean nothing to most of you. Separate it by decoration method. We could write a description for each one, the benefits of each one, the limitations of each one, the print dimension, so how big that print or embroidery would be, what artwork formats are required for that method to work. So it's another variable. The good thing about this, there were only so many we were offering, so we didn't have to add as many as what the blanks were. But yeah, we could input the costs of getting each of these done because we were outsourcing a lot of this into the cost part of the table, which again factors into what I'm about to show you next. But we were able to create descriptions of these decoration methods. So again, if anyone on my team asked me, oh, what's in that product or what does that mean? I could say, it's all in Airtable, it's all written up, have a look, and then ask me any questions after that. So it means that any inbound questions I'm getting are mostly answered throughout the table. Setup costs. A setup cost would be, for instance, for you to have something embroidered, you have to pay for a digitizer to convert the artwork into a format that allows you to embroider it in the first place, but that's a one-off cost that doesn't extrapolate into the quantity of the product that you're getting. So you don't have to pay 50 setup costs if you're getting 50 items embroidered. You only pay one setup cost once, and then the cost of actually embroidering the item is nominal. It's a fixed amount based on the quantity that you're getting. So again, another layer of complexity to working out prices, but I've documented that all here. And then you can actually connect tables to each other much like you can on Google Sheets. So I would then start, I had a formula to generate a markup on how much we should charge for each quantity of each product sold. So this is the formula here. This is a roll up. So this connects to the table where the cost of that print and embroidery was. And this was really useful for me in instances where someone would provide their own garments to be printed on and they didn't need us to source it. They just needed us to print it. So I could still quote them for this without the additional products because they just didn't need it. And I could also get anyone on my team to quote people at a glance. So if someone said, I want 100 garments with a one color screen print, then they could just go here, okay, one color screen print, 100 of them, that is £1.85 plus VAT. So I didn't have to go and do that myself all the time. I could get a member of the team to just look at the prices generated by the table, and I know that it was profitable. Whatever this says is profitable from day one. And then now I can also create deals. So I could, any given product, let's say I had this t-shirt here, I could, what we filtered here, screen printing. So let's say I want to add that product, that specific product. Say AS color. Have I got enough time, by the way? I'm nearly done.
Yeah, good.
Okay, great. Yeah, I want to make sure that I don't go over. So AS color curve T. And that was the 5076. And then I could put the link to that product here. That's the brand. And then this one actually links to the brand table as well. I won't do it now, but I could easily just drag that image, upload it here. I can copy the product description. So let's say I could copy this. How many? 100% home button. I could fill this out. Now, the beauty of this for me is I can now pay a virtual assistant on Fiverr to do this for me rather than doing it myself. So if you imagine like the time I'm taking to do this right now, my time is worth more than, the task that I'm doing here, right? But now this process allows me to outsource this for a fraction of the cost. Because I can say to someone, go on such and such brand's website and put every single product that they have into our database, and they can go and do it. And within a couple of days, it's done. And suddenly, I now have a bunch of bundles that I'm able to sell. So, for argument's sake, let's say this product is £8 cost. It's now worked out my markup. You can see I just put the £8 there, and it calculated the cost including VAT and the markup. That product was called the AS Color Curve T. Let's say I wanted to create a screen printing bundle for it. Print embroidery prices. So I don't have anything to change here. Right, if I want to create a deal, this table here works out the cost of the raw cost to my company of any given package that I just created, and it does it very quickly. So let me show you an example. I'm going to create one right now. Yes, color curve T on color screen print. That deal is in progress. I haven't listed it yet. The blank is the one I just added. So this links to the table over here. The print and embroidery method is screen printing, on color screen print. And did you see that it just added the decoration method automatically here? That's because this tab is what's called a lookup tab. So as soon as I enter a product from another table, it will update that particular column or row with details from that table. So I don't have to double entry it. It just fetches it from the initial data entry. Where is that gone? Let me find that again. Curve. You can search. So I've just lost that product. I can search it really quickly on the top right. There, the product description is there. The product image would also be added on the roll up of this particular column in product images, because I would have uploaded it before. Product code is there. So yeah, there's no double entry because all of this information is already there. And it should, and I think I just need to add declaration method, deal costs. Right, yeah. So now I can see how much it will cost for me if someone orders this product from me to have the deal delivered. So if someone wanted 100 of this particular product or this bulk order deal, I would be paying about £903, excluding VAT. I can now create the deal price. So I'm gonna call the deal price. I'm gonna name it the same thing. So this is the deal cost. This is how much it will cost me to deliver. And it's going to calculate now how much I should charge for this particular deal. So that's automatically calculated how much I should charge for each quantity for each product and for each quantity for each product. So I should charge £1,220 for that. It will cost me about £903. My margin on that would be £317. So if I'm using that formula, that's what would happen. Now I can give that process to someone and just get them to do that for any bulk of products that I want without me having to do it, and generate prices but on the other side, which would allow me from the sales perspective to just really quickly bash out quotes and deals, which I can then list on my website and turn this into an e-commerce company as opposed to a solely service-based company. Which means that getting salespeople on board, I can increase their sales velocity, I can make them more efficient, and I'm able to start to remove myself from arduous parts of the sales process, so I can focus on other bigger tasks and more strategic things. So that's an example of how I've used Airtable. And this is hopefully a live demo for you guys of like a practical application of how this will save me so much time. I hope you've been able to see how much time this will save me. Open to answer any questions that you have now. I've also got other tables I can show you for other contexts. I have a table that I built for communities and events. for lead generation and sales outreach, and for website and branding projects as well. So yeah, if you guys do want to see that, happy to show it to you. But yeah, welcome to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Like, I feel like we've learned so much just by seeing how you do things. And I think this can, what you've learned and what you shared, it can be applied to various different tables. I have some questions. So while
Yes.
people are thinking of some questions, I will go first. Now, I'm not gonna lie, looking at Airtable, there's a lot going on. Do you have any tips for people that are new to Airtable, to kind of manage this tool without it becoming so overwhelming for them?
Absolutely, yeah. So what I've just shown you is this looks quite complex because it's designed to absorb already complex processes, but how it actually starts is through simplicity. So the way that I always start is um, I start with the most important piece of data that is crucial for that process to happen. So for instance, when I had a client where I was doing cold outreach in March, and I needed to reach out to content creators in the data science space. And I also needed to track how how they responded to my outreach, right? Now, before I built that whole table, the first thing I did was I just made a table like it was a Google sheet of the details of that person. So their name, their first name, last name, LinkedIn profile, how many followers they have, and if they're a creator, a course instructor, etc. I just started there. And then as I would go, I would find gaps in the process and build around that. So I didn't have to stop and create something that was super complex right off rip. You start with the simplest parts of the process that you can replicate, and then you build around that, and then you use Airtable's features to eat that complexity using the other tables that have the other variables of data that you'll need along the way. So by the time I was done with that project, I was able to see how long it took for how many follow-ups it took to turn into an appointment. I was able to see how many days it took for people to accept requests. And then I was also able to gather that data and report it to my client. But that wasn't the case on day one. It was a progressive thing where I would use it to track the most important thing that I needed to keep an eye on, and also have visibility of my clients so they could see, oh, you actually are doing the outreach. You have contacted this person. You have got this LinkedIn profile. You did get that podcast name, or that that database, or that platform that they're on. So it starts off very simple, because you go in with the most easy to record piece of data or variable that you can start with, and then you build upon that so that you don't overwhelm yourself, and you're only actually building features in your custom Airtable you actually need at the time versus a bunch of stuff that isn't useful to you.
Love that. I think Mark has a couple of questions. So Mark, if you want to come off of mute, go for it.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This is really cool. I appreciate the detailed demo and seeing how you're solving a particular problem to get a sense of this tool. So, first I want to just check in that I'm absorbing something correctly. So, like watching what you just showed, am I right in seeing that Airtable basically within cells, within one, within more individual areas, allows you to do much more complex formulas, specifications tie together than like an Excel sheet where you have to put it all cell by cell and add another row for each thing? Is that kind of like the base, one of the base functions that has allowed you to do so much with it?
Sorry, are you asking if its formulas are more powerful than Google Sheets?
Yeah, and one of the things, like when you were showing some of the ways that you were able to put in formulas and conditions and tie things together in the drop downs, like
Mm.
out of cell area, it looked like there was so much more you could customize than you typically would in a cell in a traditional spreadsheet program.
Oh,
Is that one of the big things?
definitely. Yeah. So Um, in terms of like numerical formulas, Google Sheets is probably still more superior in that sense, but Google Sheets is a numbers based platform. Like it's supposed to be more powerful for formulas. That being said, I've not encountered a formulaic requirement in terms of numbers that Airtable couldn't provide for me at the time. So because I use both platforms, I use Sheets for like, I built I built nerdy stuff that's just as nerdy as what I've just shown you in Sheets as well. But I suppose one of the features. So I think you might be referring to the roll up feature, right? So if I show you this here, where it's generated the cost or the price excluding VAT for print and embroidery prices. This is getting data from another part of the table, and then adding the, do you know what? I actually can't remember what I did. I think I got the cost price of that service and then added 3 to it on the 10 plus column. This lookup column here, this gets data from, so this deal costs table here, this gets data from blanks, this table here. And then the formulas are taking the, I hope I'm explaining this right, because it is quite complex, but the result is quite simple. So the formula is taking the setup cost of the price of the blanks from that table, which I did not have to double enter, and then creating a cost structure which takes into account both the cost of the blank product and the variable product, and just automating the creation of that formula for me for every single row, just as Excel would in the same way. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So like if you are not an accountant or a data scientist or a data person, it looks like Airtable allows you to think about things in sort of your natural language of how you want to achieve something, and then takes care of it for you a lot.
Exactly, yeah. So long as you do the best job of allowing or configuring Airtable to do that, then that VA that I can hire to do this for me does not have to calculate one formula once ever, because Airtable does it. So that means I can pay them less to do that for me, because I don't need them to use their brain in that way, because Airtable's already doing it because it's configured to do that.
Okay, cool. Can I ask another question, or do you have other people
Sure.
in the queue? Okay, first of all, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I'm so jealous that you all are closer to Friday than I am. But so I guess my next question is, like, how would you extend some of what you've learned about this to something like managing community, or managing, let's say, participants in a learning and development program or something like that? And you don't have to go deep on that, but I guess how do you see the differentiating features of this that could really, kind of tackle any challenge?
I will show you an example. So this is a client that I've suggested they should have a community. So they are, for context, they're an e-commerce company. They sell elderberry syrup, and they want to unify their community of mothers of small children who want to keep their families safe. So one of our suggestions to them was launch a community for these for your audience. So across this space, we've got certain assets that they need from the community. So you might find some of these familiar. You might have a landing page, a members code of conduct, a membership agreement. So think of this as a repository for those assets that everyone across the community team should have access to. Applications. So when they're ready to launch their campaign, you can actually turn this into a form. So you get people applying to be a part of their community. They will apply, they fill out these questions, and then they'd end up here in their database internally. So rather than using an external platform like Tally, Jotform, or what's the other one? There's a few other popular ones, but rather than using an external platform, they can manage internal applications here. They have recipes that they offer, right? So they can again use this as a repository for those resources internally, and then they can also create masterclasses, workshops, events. They can turn this into a calendar of events. So in fact, a better one for me to show you could be this one, because this is for our stuff. So this is our task list across our community. So this is what me and my co-founder have to do over the next few days. We can also turn that into a visual calendar so we can see what's being done and when. And again, specific to community, if I go back to this example, yeah, again, assignments and tasks. So we can see who needs to do what and when. We can have a high level of accountability. So essentially, we can have a repository. We can have a list of resources. If we're recording video calls, then they can have that here as well. They can have URLs to transcripts, recordings, and overall, just kind of get a bird's eye view of what's everything that's happening within their community using Airtable. But it's just about configuring it so that it meets the needs of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. For us, we are, we do a lot of our strategy stuff out of this Airtable for our community. So even when it comes down to, what is the bottleneck we're trying to solve, like we literally have that strategy in Airtable. What is the summary? What's the objective we're trying to achieve? How are we going to measure success? How are we going to evaluate the success of our, or what frequency are we going to evaluate the success of our strategy for our community, and how are we going to nurture it? I've got this thing I built, which is a dashboard to track those metrics. I'm not going to walk you through this. This is another thing that's going to give people an aneurysm if I could do it right now. But all of this is in here. So if someone on the team said, what are our numbers looking like for website traffic and applications to our community, they will have access to that, right down to, social media following and, right, Zoom is blocking me from getting that slide, but right down to social media following and see what the relationship is between all of those things. Anyone on our communities on our team says, oh, what's the ideal member profile? If we find that there's a disparity between who seems to be getting accepted into our community and who we actually want, then we can open up this document, or we can point them towards it inside Airtable and say, here's our ideal member profile. Please make sure that no one who fits outside of this get through unless you speak to us. So that's kind of how we're using it, to manage and plan our events, to manage and plan our internal operations as well. If we have a format of masterclasses and workshops, we can write that up in here. We can say to someone who's on the events team in the community, hey, here's the format for, like, we do collaboration days. We do whole day events that culminate in an evening of either a games night or a dinner. We could say to someone who's on our team, look, use this format. Here are the costs. Here are the variables, the features, the speakers that you need to get, the overhead projector, the room that you can use. All of that will be in a format, in a playbook. Run this event. If you have an event sponsor, just let them know that this is the package, this is what they get. So we can use it in that way. We can use it in a way where we can have full visibility over all the different variables and the timelines, the projects, the events, and the assets that are in one place, as well as having people being able to submit their data so that we can approve them to become a part of our community.
Wow. So do you also just integrate your kind of like project management workflows into this, as opposed to using yet another piece of software for that?
You can, yeah. So I do my best to keep everything in Airtable if I can help it. And then you can do stuff like, so something I haven't done for that merch one that I just showed you is integrate it with ChatGPT, so that when a deal is generated, GPT custom writes descriptions that take into account all of the variables and summarizes it. You can hook Airtable up to those to then add another layer of efficiency in that way. So yeah, I because it's so powerful, I do my best to keep as many things as I can inside of it. There are going to be some things that just have to be done outside, but worst case scenario, you can just create a URL to that thing. So if I had to, link to a Notion doc or a transcript or something, well, here you go. Here's a link to the transcript. Here's a link to the Notion. Here's a link to the whatever it is that is outside of the platform. But I do my best to consolidate it all in one place if I can help it. Even things like statuses, right? So I can if I want to see the status. In fact, let me show you a better example. If I want to see the status of a particular deliverable or task, I can go to assignments. I can switch from calendar view to Kanban view. I can really quickly create that. There we go. Status. I can see where is everything? Who's who's falling behind? Where are we with each given task? So in terms of project management workflows, it's great because again, I've got that visibility. It has different views I can access for each given table where I can see what's happening. And if down to wanting to customize the cards, if I want to add another layer, I can just add, okay, who's it assigned to? Who's it assigned by? What is the due date of that product, that task? What's the description? Like I've just added it now. If you've probably seen me just update it, you can do all of that at a click of a button.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Amazing. You've shared so much great info. I'm like bursting with I just want to get onto Airtable now and just try it all out. I do have a few what are they called? Fire questions. I don't even know.
Fireside questions.
That's it.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite feature?
Ooh. Oh,
If you could pick one.
favorite. That's a really hard question. I think it has to be the roll-up feature
Okay.
because it allows. So this whole thing is a base, and then these tabs are tables. It allows the tables to talk to each other, and it saves me so much time, so I don't have to double enter the same information. Much like on Google, you can link one cell to a cell in another sheet. It allows me to do that. That one feature alone has saved me copious amounts of times. So I think I'd have to say it's either the roll-up feature or the lookup feature, which does something very, very similar.
Yeah.
Either one of those.
And if Airtable came to you tomorrow and said, we want one feature, you suggest one feature, and we're going to make that happen today, that's going to make your life easier, what would it be? What are you dreaming for? I'm really throwing these questions at you, aren't I?
These are really hard questions. What feature do they not have?
Or do they not? Do they have everything? Could be the
They
answer.
definitely don't have everything. I'm just thinking because I'm quite satisfied with it. That's why I have to give it some thought. But I think I would have a feature that more easily allows non-tech people like me to integrate Chat GPT for like if it had a panel on this like right side, for instance, and I could GPT right from here and go create a record or create a table that generates a record that summarizes product descriptions.
Ooh.
If they could do that and integrate it with an LLM such that I can write an instruction or I could type, look, I want to create a base that does this rather than custom building it. And at the very least, it makes suggestions. That would make the process of building a base even quicker.
Yeah.
Because building a base can take really long, although the benefit of it will save you a lot of time. If I could have the secondary benefit of the time to create the base I want to create being halved, that would be extremely impressive. And I think you could do that through an LLM. If I could literally type in, create me a table or a row or a column or a function in this base that does this, and it does it, that would be awesome.
Well, Airtable, if you're watching this, better listen up because that's what the people want. And my last question is, what 3 golden nugget top tips would you give to anyone that is building a community that may have some knowledge of Airtable, but want to after watching this today, want to just get in and be better? What 3 top tips would you give them to get them on their way?
I would say if it's overwhelming, but you know that there are benefits to doing this, get help. So find someone, if not me, then someone else who knows how to use Airtable and they're confident with it, and just get them to spend some time with you to help you to build a base, and hold your hand through the process so that not only can you learn it, you can also get the work done or the processes done and built that you need built. So in that way, you get the best of both worlds. You get a new skill. You're able to learn an extremely powerful new platform that's going to save you a lot of time. And you get the upside of it, which is, well, yeah, I guess I just said it. It's that efficiency and that reduced time to output. But yeah, get some help if you know that this could potentially be extremely beneficial and save me a lot of time, money, and energy. Reach out.
Amazing. I just shared 2 links in the chat. One to the community, the Airtable community. As you know, community builders love a community. And then they also have a support area as well, which, and can be helpful. But yeah, reach out for some help. Like, you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this incredible wisdom and tips and tricks. And like, I really believe that this tool can help community builders going forward in their journeys to build thriving communities. So thank you so, so much. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are doing another event next month. So you can join me on November 12th, and I'll be talking to Paz, who's based out in Australia, and she's going to be talking about the platform Butter, which is a virtual kind of interactive virtual meeting platform for workshops, trainings, collaborative sessions. She uses it a lot for her community. So if you do have virtual experiences for your community and you're thinking about doing something different, or maybe you're already using Butter and want to get better at it, come and join her for that. Pop in the link in the chat now. And that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We will see you back here next month. And that's it for today. Bye, everyone.
Bye.